Ladies and gentlemen, shalom. I'm David Mencer, Israeli government spokesman for the National Public Diplomacy Directorate, here in the office of the Prime Minister. This Monday, the 17th of March, day 528 of the October 7th War. A couple of quick updates from me and then we'll get straight to your questions. Let me start today with Israel's negotiating team. As we've already shared, the Prime Minister held in-depth discussions on Saturday evening focused on the hostages. These discussions were with the participation of the negotiating team and the heads of the security establishment who have recently returned from Doha. The Prime Minister then instructed the negotiating team to continue talks in Cairo, as per the mediator's response to the Witkoff proposal. Just to remind you, the proposal calls for the immediate release of 11 living hostages and half of the murdered hostages. A reminder that Israel has accepted the Witkoff framework. The Hamas terror organization, however, persists in its refusal. Over the weekend, there have been psychological warfare and manipulations. But the latest I can share with you is that last night the negotiating team returned from Egypt, and our team met yesterday with senior Egyptian officials. The delegation is prepared to depart for further negotiations once there are further updates from the mediating countries. Just as a further reminder, 59 innocent people are being held hostage. Less than half, unfortunately, our assessment is that they're still alive. We ask ourselves, in which other conflict are dead bodies held as hostage? Next to Lebanon, where there have been a number of violations of the ceasefire, allow me to list them for you together with Israel's enforcement of this ceasefire. Today, just today, a short while ago actually, two Hezbollah terrorists who served as observation operatives and directed terrorist activities were struck by the IDF in the area of Yomor in southern Lebanon. Over the weekend, our armed forces struck a Radwan force command and control center and structures used by Hezbollah in southern Lebanon. Also, over the weekend, our security services struck and eliminated two Hezbollah terrorists who were surveillance operatives and took part in directing terror attacks in the area of Yatar and Mais El Jabal in southern Lebanon. All of these occurrences are blatant violations of the understandings between Israel and Lebanon. Israel has been clear that it will remove any threat from Lebanon that may endanger our soldiers as well as our citizens. And Israel will strike armed terrorists in southern Lebanon and will operate in order to remove any threat to Israel and allow our people to return to their homes. To Gaza next. Earlier today in central Gaza, three terrorists operating near our troops attempting to plant an explosive device in the ground were struck by our defense forces. In addition, this time in Rafah, southern Gaza, terrorists again near our defense forces, again trying to plant explosive devices in the ground, were again intercepted by the IDF. As a reminder, Israel has the option to return to intense fighting, even according to the current framework, if the negotiations are not effective. This clause was supported by both the current administration and the previous US administration. So that's the end of our briefing today. Please put your questions in the chat together with your news outlet and we will take some of your questions. Okay, first question here is from Jody Cohen from Newsmax. Will Prime Minister Netanyahu follow President Trump in holding Iran responsible for any potential future Houthi threats? If that's the case, would Israel strike Iran if the Houthis again strike Israel? Thank you for that question, Jody. I don't know who else there is to hold responsible if the Houthis again attack Israel. The Houthis are, of course, a proxy of Iran that continue to threaten this country. They have been pushed back, majorly pushed back, but they still continue to threaten this country. And our line on Iran is absolutely clear. We have said extremely clearly that we are engaged in training exercises together with our US partners. We are, of course, close, so close, shoulder to shoulder with our US partners, because we both understand, this administration understands as well as the previous one, but this one particularly, that Iran is an existential threat to this country. So the exercise which has been recently held was aimed at strengthening and maintaining the long-standing cooperation between our two countries, Israel and the US, while expanding connectivity and building integrated capabilities for the full range of scenarios. And these have involved F-35s, F-15s, and also US B-52 strategic bombers, where they've practiced operational coordination between our two militaries. Now, it's extremely clear that when it comes to Iran, we've made clear that, and the Prime Minister's made clear, that over the years, Iran cannot be allowed to achieve a nuclear weapon. President Trump agrees with this, and Israel has certainly supports President Trump's maximum pressure campaign. It was working before it was interrupted, and that, of course, crippling sanctions, and secondly, a credible military threat to counter Iran's nuclear ambitions. This has deterred Iran in the past until the pressure was removed, so Israel certainly welcomes the restoration of this maximum pressure campaign. President Trump and the Prime Minister see eye to eye on this issue, certainly on Iranian nuclear threat and certainly on Houthis, who are a proxy of Iran. Second question here from Patrick Kingsley, and they're all about Ronen Bar. There's three questions here about Ronen Bar, about next steps, about regarding Ronen Bar. Let me say to you then, Patrick, that the Prime Minister made a pretty comprehensive statement yesterday, and I would point you to that statement where he was crystal clear in terms of his thoughts on this issue, and that's where I would point you to any further comment as well. Next question here is from Nava Freiberg from Times of Israel. As of now, Hamas has been given a ceasefire for weeks and we've seen no return of hostages. Is Israel setting a deadline for Hamas to accept a ceasefire proposal? Thank you for that question, Nava. We shared with you at the top of this briefing the current situation regarding these negotiations. As we have said from the beginning, Israel reserves the right to return to intense battle against Hamas. In any case, in any scenario, let's be clear that, as we have been clear since October the 7th, when Hamas perpetrated the worst massacre on Jews since the Holocaust, our objectives are, of course, to get our hostages out, but our objectives are still destroying Hamas's governing and military capability, the release of all of our hostages, as I said, and ensuring that Gaza does not become a threat to Israel. These remain our objectives in this war, and actually the Prime Minister and President Trump and Steve Witkoff, who are in constant contact because they are working together to get our hostages home, and we will not rest until we get all of them out. And a final question here is from Nick Kolyozhin from Izvestia. You say you asked 2 weeks ago about Israeli Foreign Minister if Israel will condemn Ukraine for its national praise of Stephen Bandera and other Nazi collaborators. They remain streets in their name. I hope that it won't be banned. No, you've of course banned from these briefings. Thank you for that question, Nick. No, this is a free country, Nick, where no journalists are banned for their questions, and certainly in the time that I've been here, that's certainly never, ever been the case, nor in the history of this country. We do have a responsibility to a free press here in Israel, Nick, Of course, there are always questions when it comes to whether that free press impinge or support terrorist activities, but a free press is a key part of the standards which we hold dear in this country. In terms of your question on Ukraine, I haven't got any further information on this bandera which you talk about, and I'll pass your question on to the Foreign Ministry probably, who will be able to answer that question more comprehensively. Okay, that's the last question today. So thank you for joining us, and we'll see you again at the next briefing. Thanks. Bye-bye now.
Thanks for watching. Drop a comment below. Don't forget to like, share, and hit subscribe to stay updated with our latest content. Until next time, stay informed and inspired. This is Dejobnik signing off.